the cleanest of clean finishers from the best on the planet.
It's time for the biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behaviour.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport. Let's join the team for the biggest show in the world of sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.
I can definitely guarantee you that it's probably the most eagerly anticipated show in the COVID era. The debate has been raging even before we stepped into studio. And I can tell you it's going to be red hot on your favorite sports show. This is ZiFM Sport on a Tuesday evening. Top Hit Tuesday. And there's only one top story in the world of sport. It's been a tumultuous couple of days as the world of football has been thrown into disarray following the announcement of the formation of the European Super League. And the latest development is that UEFA is in discussions with Centricus Asset Management over a 7.2 billion financing package to overhaul its flagship tournament. That's the UEFA Champions League, all in a bid to stop the breakaway of the Super League. That is the story that is front and center on this evening's show. My name is Mike Madoda, and with me, Alois Bunjira, Chris Midzi, Barry Manandi. The man behind the desk is Sean Tafirinyika. We're also going to have some international sport for you. Our staple, the Formula One report, proudly brought to you by Zimoko. Max Verstappen has called on Red Bull to build on their early season form, stressing his Emilia Romagna Grand Prix victory was far from dominant and that Mercedes are still very close.
We'll take you around the world in 60. We take off in Germany, where former world number one Simona Halep says she has recovered from a right shoulder injury that forced her out of the Miami Open last month and is determined to kick off her European clay court season with a long-awaited win at the Stuttgart Open. In Japan, a decision on limits for domestic spectators for the Tokyo Olympics may not be made until June, which will be the month before the scheduled start of the games. And in the United States, the Golden State Warriors coach Steve Kerr has described Steph Curry as just amazing to watch after he extended his scoring streak.
In the second half of the show, as usual, is the beautiful game, and we'll catch up on the European leagues where Diego Llorente scored a late equaliser for Leeds to deny Liverpool a place in the top four last night. In Italy, Inter coach Antonio Conte is delighted with the mentality shown by his players in their draw against Napoli as the Milan club continued their march to capture the Scudetto. And in the Bundesliga, Hansi Flick has made clear his intention to leave Bayern Munich at the end of the season so as to not fool around amid growing speculation over his future.
The Home Front. Local sports news and analysis.
All right, before we get to that big story, we're going to give you a local sports news roundup, starting with cricket, where all-rounder Sean Williams is set to lead Zimbabwe in battle again after he was named captain ahead of the upcoming T20 International Cricket Series against Pakistan. Veterans Brendan Taylor and Craig Irvin bounced back to the national team after they were included in the squad for the series that gets underway tomorrow. The uncapped trio of sensational Tadiwa Nashe Marumani, he was fantastic in the domestic T20 series, as well as Sima Tanaka Chivanga and spin bowler Tapiwa Mufudza are the new faces in the side. Let's go on to rowing news, where Zimbabwe rowers return to international competition with a bang as Peter Purcell Gilpin scooped a silver medal in Italy. Gilpin came second at the 35th Memorial Paolo Daloja Pedeluco in an A final. I powered through. In the A final for the men's singles scull, the international regatta hosted by the Italian Rowing Federation, featured athletes from Belgium, France, Benin, Cote d'Ivoire, Morocco, Namibia, Tunisia, Zimbabwe, and of course the hosts, Italy. Finally, news from the top tier of domestic football. We don't have a Super League yet, so with the Castle Lager Premier Soccer League, Dynamo's attacker King Nadolo and Islanders defender Peter Mudua have expressed delight at the return of domestic football and are looking forward to the Premier Soccer League action soon. Sunday's Independence Trophy final between Dynamos and Highlanders marked the return of domestic football after a year's hiatus due to COVID-19 restrictions. The Harare Giants won the match 2-0 thanks to a long-range strike by the club's new signing Trevor Mavunga and a Mudua own goal.
From the front of the grid to the back of the net, it's ZiFM Sport.
Hi, I'm Vario's coach Zdravko Logarušić and you are listening to ZiFM Sport.
Sports with a difference.
Z.
Right, there's only one story on the lips of football fans, especially and sports fans around the world, and it's the story around the Breakaway European Super League. Michael Shoko, thank you so much for getting in touch on Twitter. You say you trust that the ZiFM Sport team will give us a balanced analysis of the creation of the Super League. So far, the major networks have not equipped a fan with enough information to make an informed decision. That is the task that is facing Alois Munjida, Chris and Barry this evening to provide you with the information and the details and everything you need to know around this latest development. But let's get into UEFA headquarters, and the reports are that there are discussions with Centricus Asset Management over a 7.2 billion financing package to overhaul its flagship tournaments, that the UEFA Champions League, and stop plans for a new Breakaway Super League. According to people who are familiar with the matter, the Switzerland-based sporting body is working with Centricus on a plan to fund a new-look UEFA Champions League tournament. It comes as UEFA prepares to battle with a new Super League that could mark the biggest upheaval of European football since the 1950s and end the Champions League's decades-long reign as the world's premier club contest. Now, negotiations are ongoing, and there's no certainty UEFA and the London-based Centricus will reach an agreement. A representative for Centricus declined to comment, while a spokesperson for UEFA didn't immediately respond to a request for a comment from our producer Sean Tafirenyika. Now, I'm going to give you a recap just in case you have just landed on planet Earth from Mars and you don't know what on earth we are talking about. Well, here's the gist of it. A group of the world's richest soccer clubs have announced plans for the Breakaway League starting in August. In a statement that was released yesterday, the marquee clubs, 6 from the United Kingdom, 3 from Italy and 3 from Spain, have signed up so far, and they would each play each other midweek as an alternative to the UEFA Champions League. In addition to what will be 15 permanent teams, another 5 will qualify each year for the Super League. Now, I hope I've done justice, but if I haven't, let's hear from Sky News, who broke down the formation of the European Super League and the money that is involved.
The essence of sport is uncertainty, that you don't know who is going to win. But the jeopardy that makes football appealing to fans is the last thing owners want, which is why 12 European clubs have committed to join a new Super League, backed by a €3.5 billion loan from US investment bank JP Morgan. 15 founder members will be granted between 100 and 350 million euros each just for joining the competition. They'll share projected revenues of €5 billion a year through media rights and sponsorship aggressively marketed in still growing markets in Asia and Africa. The Champions League they plan to replace currently generates €3.2 billion a year. Now, to try and win support, the Super League clubs say they'll give 8% of revenue worth at least €400 million a year to other European clubs in solidarity payments. That's more than UEFA currently distributes. Now, this closed model will be familiar to the American owners of Manchester United, Liverpool and Arsenal, all of whom have stakes in US sporting clubs that operate in highly profitable closed franchise systems. Manchester United shares leapt by 10% in early trading following the announcement. And the money matters. Tottenham have gross debts of more than £800 million, largely incurred building a new stadium, while Barcelona's debts are more than £400 million and Real Madrid's almost £300 million. And all the clubs face financial challenges accelerated by the pandemic. Now, this may yet prove part of a negotiation to get more income from existing competitions, but if not, These clubs are calculating that broadcasters and ultimately supporters will pay more for the certainty of guaranteed games between the biggest teams than they will for the occasional upset. And they may be right. There are many ways to lose money in modern football, but betting against cynicism is not usually one of them.
Now, the €4 billion plan, which is being bankrolled by JP Morgan Chase and Company, has already drawn heavy criticism from domestic leagues and politicians. UEFA said it could ban Super League team players from national teams that take part in the national Euro and World Cup competitions. And Alois Bunjira has been absolutely frothing. Alois, you don't like this, do you?
I don't like it at all. You know, I don't like it at all, Mike, for the reason of me being a global football fan and not a selfish person that will say, I just want, yes, the elite clubs. Let's just go and play and have swashbuckling football for the whole week and discard everybody else and leave everybody else to die outside and say, let's have our own cake. Don't care about everybody else. As long as we are fine, we are good to go. I don't like that mentality. I'm not for that mentality. Yes, I'll be watching that Super League. I'll be enjoying the matches, but I don't like it because I've been watching these games already. I've watched the Real Madrid versus Bayern Munich. I've watched Manchester United versus Barcelona. We watch these games on a regular basis in Champions League. So there's nothing new about it. There's nothing new about it.
So you are against the spirit behind the establishment of the competition. Now, Chris, let me bring you in and say that, okay, a lot of people's fears, and this is just me going through social media and just reading some of the comments there, is that a lot of people misunderstand what the situation is. A lot of people think that the European Super League is coming in to replace the English Premier League. These clubs are going to be replacing La Liga and so forth. But these clubs are saying, no, we're going to be taking part in the English Premier League. So Manchester United is still going to play Leeds, is still going to play Burnley, is still going to play West Ham. But during midweek, they're not going to be playing in the UEFA Champions League. They're going to be playing in the Super League.
Absolutely, and I think that's a very key point, and I think that's what the Super League has been very clear about when they started issuing their statements to say the teams will still participate in their domestic competitions. This is just a continental competition. And I think another thing that's key is for us to think about this with sober minds. I understand that as sports fans we're incredibly passionate about this, but I think about it with a sober mind. There's certain arguments that are being brought about to say, this is just a money grabbing scheme, and football is becoming just about money. No. Let's be very clear. For as long as it's been allowed for individuals to own very large stakes in football teams, for as long as you've had sporting groups like the City Group that have come in and bought these teams, this has been about money for a very long time. I'm going to guesstimate around 20 to 30 years. So the argument that this is now making sport about money is absolute nonsense, and I would like for people to do away with that argument.
Okay, now let's go to UEFA headquarters to the president himself, Alexander Seferin, and he says that the European Super League is fueled by greed.
I cannot stress more strongly at this moment, UEFA and the footballing world stand united against the disgraceful, self-serving proposals we have seen in the last 24 hours from a select few clubs in Europe that are fueled purely by greed above all else. Our game has become the greatest sport in the world based on open competition, integrity and sporting merit, and we cannot allow, and we will not allow that to change. Never. Ever. As previously announced by FIFA and the 6 confederations, the players who will play in the teams that might play in the closed league will be banned on playing the World Cup and Euro. So they will not be able to represent their national teams at any matches. So we urge everyone, from the millions of football lovers around the world's media gathered in this call today, politicians and football's governing bodies, to stand tall with us as we do everything in our power to ensure this never ends up in fruition.
very strong words, Barry, coming from UEFA President Alexander Seferin, and he is talking about these teams being fueled by greed. But Chris has taken a very practical and some would say logical approach to this. To say, you know what, the innocence was lost in football 3 decades ago.
Yeah. It was to an extent, and then also you can understand why Alexander Seferin is seething the way that he is, because in truth the money has been it's being made. The only difference is that it's being made by the mother federations, so UEFA and FIFA. And now what you've got is a situation whereby the clubs that are the marquee clubs in UEFA and the marquee clubs ultimately in FIFA are saying that we want to make the money, because you look at their debts. Their debt burden is and we heard in that Sky report, their debt burden is overbearing, especially now when revenues are depressed. So they needed to come up with a plan, and that plan is the Super League, where they're wresting power away from UEFA, away from FIFA, and saying that we are going to run a midweek competition that's going to give us the bag. We'll still participate in our domestic leagues, but this is what's going to get us out of trouble. So from a business perspective, it makes sense for them. Seferin is now having money and food taken out of his mouth, so obviously he's going to see.
That's what I was going to ask you. That is this the knight in shining armor, or this is a guy who's trying to get back his cash cows, because he knows Real Madrid is a cash cow. Manchester United, Liverpool, Man City, those are the teams that make UEFA money, and they're not sharing that money with these clubs.
Absolutely. Well, you look at the semi-finals of this edition of the Champions League. That's if these teams don't get kicked out. You've got Chelsea, Paris Saint-Germain, you've got Real Madrid, and who's the fourth one? Who did I
Chelsea, PSG,
Real Madrid,
and
Man City. You look at that, 3 of the 4 teams that are in the UEFA Champions League semi-finals this edition are in the Super League. So immediately you've got those plucked away. They're the ones who are attracting eyeballs for the semi-finals. So obviously Seferin is going to say, no, I want my cash cow back. And that's why he's now trying to renegotiate and get a new deal on the table so that money is split equally. He should have done this before.
Yeah, he should have done this before. And Chris, I want to hear from you before I come to you, Alois, because I know, Alois, definitely you've got a lot to say on this. And I want to talk to Alois about the sporting integrity of competition. But Chris, you wanted to chip in there.
I did. I wanted to say that I like that Barry has acknowledged that UEFA was making the money. I think people are taking a look at this situation and pointing to the supposed greed of these big teams without acknowledging the fact that UEFA for a long time has been greedy. They've been the organization that's been making the money. So when you see the struggle between those teams that have started the Super League and UEFA and FIFA, this is first of all about power, and it's about money. Someone is making money either way.
And you know what? TV rights, just quick numbers. TV rights, the uplift, the current campaign of the Champions League is worth 2.3 billion from TV money. The first edition of the Super League is going to be worth $3 billion. That's a $700 million uplift. Now, if you look at that in the grand scheme of things, yes, it's a lot of money, but it's not a massive uplift in terms of the incremental value. So on the 2.3, who was making the money? That's the question we need to ask.
Yeah, and here's the thing also, which we need to clarify. First of all, these clubs are being offered a signing-on fee. Okay, so the clubs that are being offered the highest signing-on fee are Liverpool and Manchester United. They're going to get 330 million off the bat, just for signing to play. Real Madrid is going to get 200 million, Barcelona 200 million. So these are amounts that we're talking about, eh? And then they're going to be guaranteed 100. The club that earns the least in the Super League will get 120 million guaranteed every season, with the top club able to get 200 million. So when you have a situation, for example, where Barcelona's debt is 400 million, and Real Madrid are building a new stadium, they can wipe out their debt almost immediately by participating in this league. Now, let's go to sporting merit, Alois, because you're big on this. You've been a sports person and you've played at the highest level. Let's talk about that element, because it's an element that's lost with the Super League. 15 guaranteed teams in this league. It means that these teams are there to stay, and they're likely to get even more powerful, even more bigger, and even more richer. What does it do for your Wolves, for your West Hams, for your Bournemouths, for your Villarreals, for your Cagliaris?
Yeah, Mike, when it comes to money, I understand exactly what Chris said. I understand exactly what Barry said. This is a situation whereby UEFA has been getting all the money. But what do you do when UEFA is getting all the money? Do you say now, me and you, two friends of mine, let's go and grab all the money, let's leave the rest of the other guys? Even the other guys they were also UEFA.
No,
what are we doing to them? How are they also going to gain?
But the Champions League has never been about Burnley and things. It's always been about money generated by these top teams.
No, the other teams who participated in the Champions League as well, who are not in the Super League.
But the other element, again, before you carry on, is that these teams are actually promising, the Super League is promising to give more money down to non-participating teams than UEFA has ever given. So here, guys, from a financial perspective, these guys have just upped the stakes on UEFA. They're saying that even those teams that are not participating, I think they're saying that we'll give 400 million to teams that are not participating. I think it's per league.
Look, okay, let's go back.
So English teams will get 400 million dollars.
Your Burnley will get
your Burnley, which they can share. That's UEFA is not giving them as much.
Of course, Mike. Look, the situation here is they get 400 million. How are they going to share? How much are they going to get? They will get the money. Now, what about the sporting issue? Look,
that's what I want to talk about.
Exactly. Yeah. Slowly, EPL is going to die a slow death. I'll tell you why. Manchester United on the weekend, they are playing Real Madrid on the Wednesday, they are playing Burnley on the Sunday. They are not going to be playing their full strength team because they are going for this big money. This is not the Champions League here every day. This is now a week in, week out. This is a league. They are playing two leagues at the same time. They are not going to have one team playing both games a week, per week. Players are going to burn out. They're not going to do that. So what is going to be the priority? What is going to be the priority?
Can I clarify there? The structure is, it's called a league, but it's actually to a group stage that leads to the quarterfinals and just the normal, just like the Champions League.
Yeah, but it's going to be regular, Mike.
Yes.
It's going to be regular. So it means
just like the UEFA Champions League.
No, UEFA Champions League, you play one game here and the other game is...
That's what they'll be doing.
It's the same structure.
It's the same structure.
Here's my fear on sporting merit, guys. Yeah. If I can jump in. My issue is this, and I'm going to dive into the realm of hyperbole just a bit because that's all we've got at the moment. And it's from this perspective. When you've got a Manchester United and Manchester City and Liverpool, etc., that have got now bottomless pits of cash, the chances are these teams are going to strengthen exponentially, albeit that the Super League is going to do the percolation throughout the pyramid and make sure that everybody gets a taste of the loot. It's not going to be on an equal basis. So consequently, what you then have is that games in the Premier League are going to be a complete mismatch. And the same challenge that Florentino Perez is talking about, that the Champions League is losing eyeballs and losing viewership, is the same thing that's going to happen to the league.
Well, talking about Florentino Perez, let's hear from him because his arguments are radically different from yours and Alois. He says that the Super League is there to save football.
La UEFA es un monopolio. Debería ser más transparente.
UEFA is a monopoly. They should be more transparent. They should know why we ask those things. All we want is to make football better. We want to save football, which is at risk. It really is. And I'm saying this without being the owner of Real Madrid. They've created a Champions League format that, in our opinion, does not work. There's no one who says that it works. I can assure that. I've spoken to every league, every federation, and no one understands it. Besides, they say that it will start in 2024, but we will be dead by then. There are clubs that have lost hundreds of millions of dollars this year and the previous one. Will Real Madrid be kicked out of the Champions League? No, they won't be expelled from it. That is for sure. Real Madrid won't be. Manchester City won't be. None of them will be expelled. I'm completely sure of it. Not from the Champions League, not from La Liga, nothing like that. It's going to be 15 clubs who play against each other every week. That's going to bring the money in. That's the greatest show in the world. There's nothing like that. And there's no other sport that can gather 4 billion people watching just a few teams play.
So that is Florentino Perez. He is coming in and he's saying this is an alternative to save football. Chris, I want to come in and say, when you take a look at his arguments, this is a guy, because he's been appointed the president of the Super League, you know, so so Uncle Flo is the president of the Super League. He's coming in with an argument here, and you know, let's go back. I like Chris because minutes ago you talked about, okay, the purity of sport was lost several decades ago. Let's go. There used to be the European Cup, which was played by champions only. Okay? You had to be a champion to play in it. Then they decided, let's expand it and include runners-up. Why? Because it was beginning to make money. Mm-hmm. And they could make more money if they added more teams. Then after that, they said, no. 2 teams is no longer enough. We can make more money if we add 4 teams. And now it's 4 teams.
And more teams benefiting.
And we make more money. Alois, the benefit is simple. Like we said, the Super League is promising to give more money to even teams that are not participating than UEFA is giving.
So you mean you say Mike and Perry, let's go and play to take our mana guys, our two our guys to pay 2 cents.
You are still playing in the English Premier League,
guys. But it's also to 100 not guys. Who cut a little piece.
The model is the same.
Who cut a little piece for you guys.
But that's exactly the same model that exists at the moment with UEFA. The difference here is that UEFA no longer has as much power as it did before. They will no longer be making as much money as they did before. Another thing that the Super League has come out and said is that they'll be giving a lot more money to development. I think they're giving double the amount that UEFA is giving. They're going to be giving a lot more money to women's football than UEFA has been giving. So when you take a look at those things, this is a structure that, first of all, UEFA could have implemented this. When we started hearing these whispers around 2016 about the seriousness of the Super League, they could have implemented but it took these movements of these teams creating the Super League for UEFA to suddenly now come up with a few different ways of doing things.
You know, and there's a question I asked, guys, and I asked this before we walked into studio. If we're talking about the fact that our teams are given a chance to play in the UEFA Champions League, let's take England, for example. I asked, how many teams other than Manchester United, Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Tottenham or Chelsea, the big 6 who have broken away into the Super League, how many other teams in the last 20 years can you name that have qualified for the Champions League apart from Leicester?
Not Burnley.
How many?
The problem is now
where's the competition?
We are focusing much more and everything on EPL as well.
Let's go to Spain.
We are forgetting Austria. Salzburg, Red Bull Salzburg, they are not in the
But the Champions League is still there, Alois. It hasn't been stopped. Varikuti tamba irenyu isusu tamba redu.
Exactly.
Chemera isusu sei.
So can I ask Mike? Can I ask selfish? Can I ask a question?
Yes, it's selfish. We agree.
This game is about money, guys.
Why is money? Can I ask a question to you and Chris?
No, this
you
is
first.
about the global game, not for
Arsenal hasn't qualified for the Champions League in 5 years.
Yes.
Why are they there?
They have a solid financial. They have a solid financial proposition, because if you notice, the one thing that Chris and I have not shied away from is that it's all about the money.
The loot.
Yeah. It's about the money. Tottenham is there because they've got the best stadium in world football right now. What they offer from a financial perspective
is elitist.
That's
what I don't like about it.
That's what
the Champions League is elitist, Alois.
No,
it's elitist on sporting merit. On the illusion of sporting merit.
It's not an illusion. It's not an illusion.
It's an illusion, and let me explain to you why.
Okay, guys, vanongo wina mu class vanongoita number 1 mu class do vari kuenda ku trip. That is open. We are going.
No. I think
doesn't work that way.
I think that's not an accurate example. What's happening is this. They are saying, in real terms, the UEFA Champions League has not been stopped. You have your UEFA Champions League. So you can have Everton playing versus Getafe. You can have Cagliari playing versus Werder Bremen. That can happen. It's okay. We are just not participating in the UEFA Champions League. So hatisi kuti imi mamugono kuenda ku trip. Aiwa, endai ku trip kwenyu, imi murukwenda ku Vic Falls. Ista kuenda ku Dubai.
So why are you crying when you are murukunzi sore chivema gara yiko ku trip kwenyu kwa mukwenda Dubai? Gara yiko. Why murukuti futi muda kutsoka? Why muruda kuti legally you can't fire us from the EPL? Kochingo gavama gara yiko. Okay, tell me. I would support.
Why would they fire these teams from participating in the league? Because they have not resigned from the leagues.
Because no, Mike.
They've not.
Because naturally people will follow the stronger and more elite league. So this one will die a slow death. So, it's natural.
Okay,
so
but it
is natural. So that's what they don't want.
Can I ask this? Is that not a natural progression? In business, in life.
Yeah, okay.
In football.
This is where I defined it for myself this morning in the mirror, because this has been swirling in my head and upsetting me the entire weekend. And my conviction is that this is whether the metamorphosis or the death of association football as we know it.
Yeah.
And so for me, I think because association football by its very nature, even when it was started in England, was around coming together on a gentleman's handshake and being together and creating this competition that we would then all celebrate at the end of the day. And then it grew up and had FIFA at the top. Then the confederations came in, and then all sorts. But now my belief is that these teams, through the Super League, have begun to delineate and decouple and fragment the association football model. And I'm positive we're going to see this rolled out in different iterations throughout the globe.
Okay, it's a subject definitely that's got so many facets to it, so many viewpoints, and over the course of the next 20 minutes we might not be able to finish them all, but we're going to endeavor, of course, to give you the tidbits that really matter. Before we continue with the discussion, let's get into our staple on a Tuesday. It's the Zimoko Formula One report.
From sunny Melbourne to the streets of Monaco, the deserts of Bahrain to the jungles of Brazil. Get up to speed on the Formula One report.
All right, Super Max Verstappen has called on Red Bull to build on their early season form, stressing his Emilia Romagna Grand Prix victory was far from, quote, dominant, and that Mercedes are still, quote, very close. The Dutchman has also admitted that it's great to be fighting against Lewis Hamilton as the season's predicted title protagonists went head-to-head again at Imola, splitting the race wins to kick off the campaign. Max Verstappen may have a point, Chris, in the sense that if you look at Hamilton, he had all sorts of challenges in that race, but still finished second, which was a good drive by him, but also meaning that Mercedes perhaps is beginning to get the pace right.
Yeah, Mercedes beginning to get the pace right, but I think also when it comes to Max Verstappen, I think we're seeing a little bit of deflection from himself and Red Bull, where they don't necessarily want to bring the spotlight upon themselves. Also, it's still pretty early in the season for them to be making such declarations. What's great, I think, especially from a fan perspective, is to have these constant duels and the competition throughout the season, because like last season, at some point you knew exactly what exactly was going to happen when it came to the podium.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Max means when he says that they were closer to him. When you've got more than 20 seconds of a win, I think that's pretty dominant. Yeah, so he won the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. Max Verstappen of Red Bull. In second was Lewis Hamilton. In third was Lando Norris of McLaren. What a fantastic drive, and also great race by McLaren. And fourth was Charles Leclerc. And fifth was Carlos Sainz of both of Ferrari. The next race, of course, is the Portuguese Grand Prix, which is next weekend.
The Formula One report is proudly brought to you by Zimoko, the home of F1 brands Mercedes-Benz and Alfa Romeo in Zimbabwe. Zimoko, specialized service for special brands. Fan Zone. Get in touch with the team and have your say your way.
Operator.
Our WhatsApp number is 0731-168-045. That's 0731-168-045 if you want to weigh in with your thoughts on the European Super League, the proposed league that's set to kick off in August. Is it going to happen? Do you like it? Do you hate it? What are your thoughts on it? Get in touch with us. And remember, we've been running that survey on Twitter, and I think the survey may well have come to an end. Maybe just have a quick look and see where it is, but we were asking you your thoughts on that league, whether you like it, you hate it, or whether you are still half needing a bit of information.
All right, let's go to our WhatsApp messages. Grizzly in Wesley says this. He says, UEFA is going through what men go through when a rich man wants your girlfriend. I think that's delightfully put. So it says, I'm a sports person, soccer being the top of the list. Let me help you understand this Super League. And it's a very long message. I am going to struggle to read this one, but I think you need to make your messages a bit briefer than we're able to read them, because we got lots and lots of messages coming through.
Can I come in with that survey?
Sure.
The results are out, and we'd asked the question, European Super League, where do you stand? There were 3 options: I love it, not too sure, and hell no. And the results are as follows. A lot of people actually love it, 43%. 25% are not too sure, and hell no, 32%. So it's split. And I think what's important here, probably, Chris, is for information and for details to emerge as to how is it going to work. You know, I know Alois has been very critical of the fact that you can't have 2 competitions running side by side, because sooner or later the clubs are going to have to choose which one is the priority competition, which may well diminish the quality of, let's say, the Premier League, Bundesliga, or, well, Bundesliga teams are not participating, but La Liga and Serie A, because Inter Milan may well choose that, you know what, the game versus Liverpool is more important and the game versus Atalanta is not a priority.
Yeah, that's definitely going to happen, but like we said, it's a consequence of time. Take, for example, you take a look at the English Premier League. Before it was the English Premier League, there was a product before that, a product that, for example,
First Division.
Exactly. A product that Sean and I have no memory of. Absolutely. Just to give you just the short amount of time it takes for football, for the world to evolve. And if it's taken COVID to spur us a little bit further along, then it is what it is.
That's not rich. Florentino Perez won many fans in the interview. I think the Rebel 12 did their homework, and it's coming. I'm behind President Perez.
Yeah, I'm still not for the evolution that sidesteps and leave others behind. That they could have pushed for UEFA to bring in the money and say, good, this is how we want the money to be shared, guys. Let's sit on the table and say, let's share this money and leave it open for everybody else to participate. This thing, guys, 35, that's the kind of evolution. I'm not for it.
Is it not also, guys, Chris, that when you take a look at football, maybe fans are too sentimental.
Yeah.
And they view these as sports clubs.
Yes.
They long stopped being sports clubs. They are now businesses with shareholders wanting a return on their investment. And this is a no-brainer.
It's an absolute no-brainer. Like you pointed out, you take a look at, first of all, the huge debts that these clubs have. You have to pay your debts at some point. And if the Super League is going to provide that solution in a scenario, in a COVID-19 pandemic, where they have lost incredible amounts, huge amounts of money, where they haven't been able to fulfill their debts, if this is the solution, think about it as a business. I think we're all sports fans, but let's think about this as running a business. If you are running a business and someone offers you an opportunity where you can get debt relief and an opportunity to make more money, you're going to grab it.
I think we're seeing a situation where we have seen this thing happening in politics, in economics, economic hitmen, where we have this situation where the clubs were slowly getting plunged into debt. This thing might have been planned a long time ago. Slowly, if you see the way the clubs were being taken over. The big clubs, they were targeted. You can actually feel like they were targeted. You see Manchester United, when the Glazers came in, where did they get their money from? They got their money from JP Morgan. JP Morgan is now the one that is funding the Super League. You look at the American ownership of Ed Woodward used to work for JP Morgan, and you see the Americans that are owning the clubs there with power, then the Arabs. So you can actually feel that we are going somewhere.
Though?
Yes, it is, but for me, I have got a feeling that it's a planned business opportunity where they were planning to take off, and we are going the NBA way.
I'm not going to say
the NFL way.
Yes, no, we are definitely going the American.
This is where we are going. Football is just going to be taken the American way.
It's definitely the American model, because if you look at Stan Kroenke at Arsenal, John W. Henry at Liverpool, and then you look at the Glazers, they all own American football franchises. Put it that way, because the FSG is in MLB. So we're going the American route. But if you look at the business element, whereby these guys took over these clubs were making good money. COVID hit, and these guys, the best performing one is Liverpool, which is 8% year on year down on their figures from the previous year. And then the worst performing is AC Milan, who are 28% down on their numbers from the previous year. Those numbers are going to hurt. And so the investor is saying, no, I'm not going to keep losing money. How do I recover quickly? Get into the Super League.
I feel like people are taking a look at these investors and saying, you know what, these are evil men who don't understand football. But
they don't understand football.
Why,
no, they don't.
Why was it such a lovely proposition when these big backers were coming in, they were being allowed to make these huge purchases of ownership of these teams, and the English Premier League was the richest. No. It was the richest league in Europe, and this was fantastic. This is a very logical consequence of the fact that we've let capitalists take control of football.
Exactly. And also, surely when you have guys like, maybe let's use the Liverpool example, JW Henry, they come in, they buy Liverpool, which is close to bankruptcy. They buy it for 380 million. They've now turned Liverpool into a $4 billion entity. Can we say that they have been bad for football? Can we say that they have been? Surely they delivered Liverpool's first title in 30 years. They delivered a Champions League title. They delivered a team now. I think the team value, Liverpool's got the fourth highest value in terms of squads. Can we say that they've been bad when they finally make a decision to say, you know what, we want a return on the work that we've put in over the last 10 years?
They're not bad, but they're the plan.
They're not bad. They've unlocked value. They've unlocked
That's it.
And this is to unlock even more value. We have a fantastic message here from one regular listener. His name is Sean Tafiranyika. He says they run their clubs badly, and now they want a money guaranteed get out of jail free card and not really worry about competition. That's Sean's take.
No, but which club has been run badly? I've just given you an example of thing. No, Arsenal is just bad on the field of play, but they're very well managed. They're just terrible on the field of play.
Now they want to be somewhere where they are not worried about losing every game.
They have a brand
and just get money for it.
Assists the project to make money.
Yes,
and simple.
I think
you lose all games in a season and you still get paid for it. You don't get.
Can I give you another scenario?
So why is it working in American sport?
Can I give you another
Why does it work in the NBA, in the NFL?
Because it's holistic. Here's a scenario for you.
This is their own holistic competition.
Arsenal has a woeful season in England, gets relegated. They're still guaranteed a position in the Super League. They still play in the Super League. Honestly, in terms of sporting, it doesn't make a mockery.
It doesn't.
But guys, it's like hearing music next door and then going to complain that you weren't invited to the party. Guys, you don't have a right to be at the party just because we're next door neighbors.
No,
this is a private party.
Yes,
but this is a private party.
What is the problem now? Sporting Mary, you taking the game?
We said it a long time ago. We said it a long time ago.
It's about
this is about money. This is about money.
They don't care about the sporting merit, Alois. Sporting merit, itaiku La Liga, Premier League, and Bundesliga. When it comes to the Super League, we are here to make money.
You know, for me, that's why I actually agree with the mentality. So you know what? You 15, you just go into your Super League thing that way and stay there. I prefer that. EPL expel them, UEFA go and do a Super League there. I actually prefer it that way.
That's bad for the EPL, not for those teams.
But that's the end. You tell me, okay? That's you talked about the fear that the lower leagues would be killed, isn't? Or these leagues would be killed. That's the fastest way to kill them.
That's the fastest way to kill them.
You tell me why Sky would continue to pay $5 billion to the Premier League without United for Wolves versus Burnley.
They will struggle for a little bit, but it's you go there, you stay there, you don't come back here. So these ones will grow. They will run out of. They will
never run out of money.
They will run out of the players.
How will they run out of money?
Where will they get the players from in 2-3 years time?
Where do they get the players from?
That's what I'm saying. That a player who goes to play there is not coming back here.
Where?
Who goes to play in the Super League?
Yes.
Doesn't come back.
That's why Perez has come out and said, if you ban us and you ban our players from participating in the World Cup, for example, we will simply create our own World Cup.
That's what
simple. Association football, as we know it, is under threat.
Exactly. It's
another organization to counter FIFA. Simple.
Yeah, that's what we're headed.
It is already under threat. Whether they stay or they're not, it is already under threat.
So it is already under threat. A common sense approach will prevent that. Like I agree with Chris. It's a shift of power. Mangama Jaira kuchika big meg. As you know, these guys.
That's 315.
Exactly.
That's on them. This is business, Alois. You're putting too much sentiment.
No, it's not. You need to move. You need to move. Okay, guys, this is UEFA. They have been doing this to us. You can just choose now. You.
And that's why they're then throwing the bones down the pyramid, because they're saying money will still percolate through the pyramid. And it's actually going to be more.
It's never going to end. It's never going to end. But it has to end for now, because we've run out of time right here on ZiFM Sport. Very interesting, topical, hot issue around the European. It just shows you the power of the European game. I mean, that we are discussing this, and a lot of opinions are emerging even here on the home front. A lot more than we would generate when it was Dynamos versus Highlanders, Caps versus FC
Uganda. Was bad.
It's homework.
As fans,
yeah.
When they are established, it's not going to come cheap. We are going to pay more.
You're already paying $100 for DSTV.
It's going to be $300 with a channel with Super League. $300.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's all we have time for. We'll probably continue this on tomorrow's show.
Such a big issue it is. Mourinho got sacked and nobody even cared. We'll catch you tomorrow. May God literally richly bless you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Manande, out.